Hello once again, dudes. My name is Mill, and welcome to our first introduction to web design. Now, let me explain what we're going to do in these tutorials series. I want to go this far and say you don't need to have a knowledge of PHP, XHTML, CSS, JavaScript, cause what we're going to do in this tutorial is basically creating websites. And of course, I'm going to explaining what every single line of code I write down does. So we might be using PHP, HTML, or JavaScript and CSS, but you don't need to have watched my tutorials, but all the code will be writing down here. I will explain very carefully. But there's one thing I want to mention. I'm not going in depth with the code I'm typing. I'm not going in depth with PHP or HTML or CSS. I'm only using the lines of code I need to use. So the other tutorial series are still very useful because I ain't going to use, even closest of all the things I teach you in the other tutorials. So in these tutorials we're going to try to build some nice website and some nice applications for the web. So we're going to be using different languages, and I'm not entirely sure what we're going to be using, but I can type some of them down already. We're going to be using XHTML, CSS, JavaScript, PHP, jQuery. I'm not really sure about that, but yeah. HTML5, that's very likely. And I haven't made tutorial series on these two, but they will be in the future. And I'm not entirely sure either, but XML might be coming in too. So we're going to try to use all these things to be creating awesome, sweet websites. So actually, I'm going to try to go ahead and create a new folder, uh, basically on my desktop, and I'm going to call this web design, right? And just type in a name, web design, right? And we'll be saving all our files in there. So the first file I want to create is a HTML file, and this is from my HTML tutorial series, so don't need that right now. So into web design, call it index.html, and all these files for other tutorials, don't even worry about them. So here we have one of the files that we're going to be using, and I'm going to be testing a little bit of things before doing this, because this is kind of a big project. But well, let's go ahead and try to find the doc type definition for XHTML, because that's very likely what we're going to be using as a start. So I'm going to type in XHTML document, or sorry, doc type declaration, and I'm going to see where it shows up. No, that's not there. So yeah, that's not the one I'm going to be using. I want to have the traditional, or is it XHTML 1.1? Let's see what we got. Here it is, transitional. This is the one I'm going to be using. So yeah, that looks pretty cool. I'm gonna move that down here, yeah, so it fits. And save it. So we have a doc type definition now. What this basically means, it's like a way of typing in the version of HTML or XHTML we're going to be using, and what definition of it we're going to be using, so the browsers understand it correctly. So to understand the rules that needs to be followed in HTML, XHTML. If we used HTML4, then it would recognize the rules there. So let's go ahead and create a HTML tag. And what this basically does, it's all the content of the website you put in here. So in the head, you kind of put options for your website. I'm going to give it a title, and the title, and remember the end tags. These are tags, and these are end tags. So they having like a slash here, and the title is basically what shows up up here. If you're using Google Chrome, where's here up here. All right, so let's go ahead and give it a title. I'm going to call this web design tutorial. I don't know if I will keep it in one word. I think that looks kind of cool. Maybe I would be splitting. Yeah, I'm going to split it up. Alright, so what we'll need to add now is a meter jar set, and what this basically does is just telling the encoding of our text. And this not really important. You don't really need to know what this means. And if you're very into what it means, then go watch my XHTML tutorials. It's among the beginning tutorials. So if you're very up to what every single tag means, well, you can go to XHTML. We're going to give it a name, equal to author, so it knows that the content we're going to type in is going to be the author of the website. I'm going to type in Emil because that's me. And I should probably end it already. So we should also go ahead and add a body, and the body is basically the content that shows up on our website. So everything we type in between these two tags are going to be showing up. So if we go ahead and save this and run it in the internet browser, it will be saying web design tutorial up here, but we haven't typed in code for any other thing. So basically that's it for this tutorial, I guess. Thanks for watching, guys. Hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you in the next tutorial.